Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Hello and welcome. We're LIW. This is the WrestleTalk Podcast, and the Von Erichs are champions in Dallas once again. Pete's really sleepy, and 5 seconds before I hit start, I just screamed at the top of my lungs to wake him up. So now he's awake.
Yep. For the next 10 seconds, I will be awake.
LIW for life. Welcome to the WrestleTalk Podcast channel review of AEW Collision with a little bit of Battle of the Belts and WWE SmackDown from this past week. This is not Dan, this is Pete. Remember Pete? We were a team once, not anymore. Sat's the champion now, and we might have to do something about that soon.
True.
That being said, let's get into this here podcast. Let us know what you think about this here show, both shows, all three shows, this podcast. Give it a like, subscribe to the podcast channel, and all that good stuff. In the meantime, we had a title change coming out of Battle of the Belts, which is not common. We've done 11 Battle of the Belts at this point, and I think this is the first proper title change that's happened on one. We had an interim TNT championship deal on like one of the first ones. Might have been the first one where Sammy and Cody were supposed to wrestle. I think Cody got COVID, and then Sammy faced Dustin for the interim title that set up the ladder match. And that's like the only time a title has in any way changed hands on these shows.
That's absurd.
Which is mad. And there has been 11 of them. So this is a bit of a big deal.
Yeah.
And not only is it a title change, but it's a title change involving the young Von Erich boys and the not young Dustin Rhodes. This was a lot of fun to be able to see because obviously the Von Erich name has been kind of in the zeitgeist a little bit over the last year or so with the Iron Claw having come out. And very good movie. Everybody should check it out. It's on Prime now. You can just watch that. So do. And I've always been a fan of Ross and Marshall Von Erich. Been catching up with them doing MLW stuff previously. And I've always just wanted good things for them, you know. So we've got this match, and it's to crown new ROH World Trios champions. Now, I don't mean to get this off on a bit of a negative note, but I thought the purpose of having the Acclaimed and the Bang Bang Gang fight for both of those titles was so we could get rid of one of the sets of titles, because we don't need two sets of Trios titles in this company and a half that is AEW and ROH. But regardless, that point aside, this was the kingdom of Roderick Strong and the regular kingdom. I guess it's the Undisputed Kingdom. Yes. Yeah. It's still not... The puzzle piece is not fit in my brain to know what to call them just at a whim. But regardless, that group going up against Dustin and the Von Erich boys. So this was a fun little match. It was pretty standard basic stuff where you've got the heat on the baby faces after a real nice, fun, shine spot. I like that one of the Von Erich boys doesn't wear shoes. Just like his dad.
Yeah. It makes him look unique in the ring. It's nice.
It makes him look unique. And it's also it's a quirky little thing about Kevin Von Erich, where I watched a documentary on him way back when. Might have been like an ESPN doc, because it was way before the Dark Side of the Ring deal, where he was like, yeah, I moved to Hawaii, so I never had to wear shoes again. Just didn't want to wear shoes anymore.
Awesome.
So moved to a place where he never had to wear them. You know what? Live your dream, buddy. Yeah. You absolutely go for it. And now it has been passed down to his son. So I appreciate that little detail about his ring attire. But this was a fun match. There was plenty of outside interference. Maria Kanellis was kind of going nuts, especially when Dustin did the deal where he set up Mike Bennett's legs on either side of the middle turnbuckle and then kicks the pad. And he was, oh no, I can't have any more babies, even though that one I accused you of not being the father 5 years ago. We all like to forget about that angle. There's lots of mayhem at ringside, and it leads to Katsuyori Shibata coming down to the ringside area, which seemed a little bit out of place, given that Shibata and the Jericho group, the Learning Tree, previously on Collision, Jericho had set up, we're going to take you out, Shibata, and you've got no one to have your back now, because Samoa Joe and Hook are both out of capacity. And then Shibata comes down to kind of even the odds here alongside Kevin Von Erich. And I would have like a problem with this because it doesn't really make sense for the positioning of angles and rivalries on the show. But I cannot possibly dislike any angle that involves Shibata having the Iron Claw passed down to him because his brain got taken out. That he is impervious to the Iron Claw because his brain was removed from his skull at one point. For as horrifying a reality as that was, that is pro wrestling wackiness done to an 11.
Yep.
And with the odds evened, you had the Von Erichs launch, I forget which one of them it was, into Dustin Rhodes, who hit the final cut and got the win. Your new ROH World Trios champions. So I had said last week that with this run of shows taking place in Dallas and the Von Erichs and Dustin Rhodes being set up as a partnership on last week's show, that I would probably do a deal where you set up them as like we're picking up wins, we're learning how to be a trio together, and then on like the last show in Dallas, you do them against the patriarchy, and then you have a big, awesome main event match, and then you probably lose. I think that still would have been good. I think also just having them get a nice win and some happy, joy, lovely wrestling time is also a very fun way to spend this little summer vacation in Dallas.
Yeah, I totally agree. This was just a fun, like a sweet moment in wrestling to just be like, that's nice. And they got to celebrate afterwards with a load of different people, and Shibata was there, you know, photobombing the family photo and everything. It was awesome. I also like not just the Von Erichs winning gold in Dallas and everything, but the idea of the Von Erichs and the Rhodes families working together is like a lot of like obviously shared history between all of those families and how they interlink and stuff, which is very, very cool. So yeah, I thought this was just a very simple but effective match. You didn't need to make it super complicated. This was just these wrestlers are going to go out and have a basic, you know, here's the shine, here's the heat. We're going to get the big baby face reaction at the end, and that's exactly what they did. And it was a nice moment to end this Battle of the Belts episode. It was really good. And hey, titles changed hands on a Battle of the Belts, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
That's all it really was. And it does feel a little bit like, you know, simple, but it is simple and effective in that.
Yeah.
Other than the main event of WrestleMania, in this world, when was the last time you just saw like some baby faces come out and be surrounded by the other baby faces from the back, and everyone just go, "Yay!"
Yeah.
A happy thing.
Yeah.
You know, I like that. I wish that sort of thing happened a little bit more often in wrestling. But that being said, it happened here and was still like, oh, that's a nice special little moment. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
I don't know where it goes from here necessarily, because from this point you probably aren't looking at another ROH pay-per-view until Final Battle. You know, we would in years past be looking at, you know, I think they would usually do Death Before Dishonor in like September, which would be when I would imagine you'd get like a nice 2 or 3 little month run here with these titles and then drop them, because I don't know if the Von Erichs are going to be like a regular recurring group for the foreseeable future, you know, long term, but that'd be a good little run. Maybe they're just going to hold it into December, because at the end of the day, it is the ROH Trios titles. Yeah. They don't have to be on TV if you don't want them to be featured on TV. So I don't know where you go next from here. I don't know if it matters too much. I think you can get a nice little Dallas run here, and that can be enough purpose, you know, for what it is.
The end of the Dallas run, last collision in that arena, patriarchy win, and then keep all the belts again.
Sure. Honestly, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I want to see Christian Cage go up against this trio with all the ammunition that Christian Cage could ever need. I think that'd be a fun little deal.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't envisioning the ROH Trios titles being involved, but I think I'd forgotten that they existed when I had made that prediction originally.
Valid.
You know, so that being said, we're not going to go through the entire bit of Battle of the Belts because truthfully, not a lot of note else really happened. You know, you had a women's championship eliminator match rather than a championship match where, you know, Toni Storm beat Taya Valkyrie. And then you had a eliminator match for the CMLL World Women's Championship between Willow Nightingale and Deonna Purrazzo, with Willow also winning that match. So more of the same. Didn't really set up much for the future, but it gave you a couple more, you know, big women's matches on this show, which is a thumbs up, even if they do feel a bit low stakes. That's Battle of the Belts for you, though. We got a title change. That's better than usual. So with that being said, we will get into the rest of our Collision rundown. Let us know what you think of the Von Erichs winning the ROH World Trios titles in the comments down below, and maybe give us some fantasy booking ideas of what they could do for the remainder of their run, however long that ends up being. So we get into Collision, which started inauspiciously a little bit.
You could say that.
You know? Because overall, I thought, well, kind of keeping with the trend of Collision being a skippable but fun show, I thought there were a number of very fun matches on this episode. But nothing like, you know, super memorable or noteworthy or anything like that happening. There might have been a few stuffs and thing. The opening of the show, however, starts with, you know, the camera comes up and you've got the Dallas Esports Stadium and everybody's losing their minds. They're cheering. They start chanting AEW, AEW, and then you start getting the Orange Cassidy music. You know, Where Is My Mind starts playing and he's coming out. And then Johnny TV's music comes and there he is and all this, and they get in the ring. And you show a video package of what happened at the Adult Swim deal where Orange Cassidy faced, hello, I'm Mr. Frog. Hello. I like smiling friends. That whole thing, I would have had that on Collision if I were booking this place.
Yep.
And then they go back, the bell rings, they're standing across from each other, and Tony Schiavone goes, a lot of things happening on AEW this week. And probably the first 2.5 minutes of this show featured no commentary, and it was not addressed whatsoever.
I don't know if that was intentional, because, like, the ring announcer also seemed weirdly, like, audio wasn't quite in time, or, like, they just got the echo of it rather than the recording of it. It was very strange. I don't know if it was a technical issue, if it was a genuine choice.
I can't imagine it not being a technical issue. Because I love the everybody shut up approach to commentating, you know? When something special is happening and you just let the vibes tell the story.
Yeah.
The beginning of the show, sometimes that might work. But you probably want to have and welcome to the show, everybody. And not just, so anyway, this week on Collision.
Yeah. Wild.
It was mad. It was probably a snafu of some sort, but it made both of us laugh watching it. That being said, we had our opening match here being Orange Cassidy versus Johnny TV with Taya Valkyrie, who was a pesky little fellow at ringside. Getting involved here and there. This was a fun match. This is the kind of match I would like to see on Collision, and that, you know, being me accepting that matches of larger consequence probably aren't going to be happening here. I like Johnny TV a lot. I wish he was used a bit more. I like Orange Cassidy, obviously. Who doesn't? And this is a fun little match that if this happened 5 years ago on a Ring of Honor show, I think would be pretty gosh darn great. You know what I mean?
100%.
As an opening match on here, I thought it was pretty good. They had some fun. They did the Orange Cassidy stuff. They played around with Johnny TV sunglasses. You know, fair enough. And then eventually you had Orange Cassidy getting the beach break and the orange punch and getting the win. After the match, Johnny TV kind of did a chop block, punched Orange Cassidy in the back of the knee, really. And then Taya Valkyrie got in. They were both kind of doing a beatdown, and then Willow Nightingale made the save. A fun little opener, I thought.
Yep. I don't have many more thoughts than what you said. It was just fun. I like seeing these two wrestle. I've always been a big fan of Johnny TV, John Morrison, whatever name you want to call him by.
Mundo, Impact, Hennigan, Spade, Blaze, Nitro.
John TV. But yes, I always enjoy watching him wrestle. These two are great together. I enjoyed the match. It was just a fun little opener.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we got Willow Nightingale doing some more stuff, which was also good. You had the Bang Bang Gang backstage, and they were talking some S-word to the patriarchy. standard little backstage promo. They said that they were the Collision Cowboys, which makes sense given Dallas Cowboys and all that. And if you're not down with that, they're pretty much through and through baby faces now.
Yeah.
And I was wondering last week where they kind of fell on that alignment because, Michael Oku don't like them tweeners, and it's good to make a distinction at this point because you had the Bang Bang Gang and the Patriarchy in the main event last week, and neither of those teams really feel like baby faces. But of the two, the Bang Bang Gang have taken on that role, and now they're leaning a little bit more into it. So it's good to see that direction.
That was a pretty good promo. I like these guys. I think they're good.
Yeah. Come around on this little group a little bit.
Those guns, they're doing all right now.
I came to realize that the problem was the old one.
Uh-huh.
Anyway.
Yes.
We had a 3-way tag team match between Lee Moriarty and the Machine Brian Cage, filling in for Shane Taylor. The Blackpool Combat Club of Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli, and Top Flight, Dante and Darius Martin. Now, this match was interesting for a number of reasons. You had the main kind of storyline through, which was Lee Moriarty having just beaten Wheeler Yuta for the ROH Pure Championship at Death Before Dishonor. So that was kind of the main rivalry that we were playing off, played into the finish, all of that. That was the main bit. Otherwise, this was just a lot of stuff happening, Where I heard all this and I was paying attention, and then maybe I look away, do something else, and I was just like, what is this, a 6-man? What is happening right now? Because it was just a lot of moving parts and all that. Yeah. Which is fine. There were a lot of fun bits, good high flying from Top Flight, as you are used to seeing, but, there are 2 guys of these 6 that had anything to do with one another, and then a completely separate team to all of that. So it was easy to kind of get lost in the story of what they were trying to tell with this match. That being said, it looked like Lee Moriarty was potentially going to get the win here over Darius, but Yuta tagged himself in and wrapped up Darius with the seatbelt pin and got the win. This, of course, again, comes after Lee Moriarty more or less stole the ROH Pure title. They showed clips and recaps of this match, and it was a very good match. These two obviously have a lot of history on the indies from way back when. They're both very good, but Lee Moriarty took the cheap pin using his leverage off the ropes to get the title, and boo, heel work, boo, we don't like that. So this may continue, but it's good to see just something happening with all of this, because I was watching this match, and I am a very big fan of Lee Moriarty in particular. I like Wheeler Yuta, even though, he had his long layoff with injury, which doesn't help anybody stay at the forefront of your mind by any means. But I was just watching this, and I was saying to myself, God, I would love if the Blackpool Combat Club meant anything.
Yeah, right?
Because I always go back to the days of yore when you and I were reviewing Rampage, and we got like the Jon Moxley Wheeler Yuta Rampage main event. One of my favorite matches that year. One of the best Rampage matches that there's ever been. And I remember saying when this group was coming together that by the time they go their separate ways, this will be my favorite faction in wrestling history.
Yep.
I feel confidently in saying that is not the case. And they started off with a really hot run.
Sure did.
I love the idea of what the Blackpool Combat Club was originally. They're not even a group.
No. They came into contact with Chris Jericho. That's what happened.
They did. And even after that, they all turned heel and they did the thing with the Elite. And then that just kind of fizzled out, and they just all kind of... They've all just kind of gone their separate ways, but are loosely aligned with one another.
Yep.
One of them's about to retire in the main event of the biggest show of the year, and none of the rest of them they don't matter at all. Mox has been doing his own thing everywhere else but AEW, and I love that for him. But for what should be the top group of the promotion, the Blackpool Combat Club is just a name now.
Yeah.
They're not a group.
It feels like it's a tag team between Claudio and Wheeler.
Yeah.
Featuring Bryan Danielson and Moxley when appropriate.
It's mad because I keep thinking back to Revolution where Mox and Claudio had that fantastic tag match with FTR and then never teamed up again. And they won that match. And I was like, well, there's your next tag champions.
Yeah.
There's your AEW tag champions that can go and face the Young Bucks, you know, at the end of this tournament. And then they weren't in the tournament. I don't know what the deal is. I've heard a lot of like, not concrete stuff, more theories of just like, not backstage grumblings, but like pieces don't fit right now with a lot of how AEW TV has come together and a lot of the Blackpool Combat Club. And I find that deeply disappointing.
Yes, I agree. Also, it was a bad version of a tag triple threat. I hate it. Anyway,
Oh, yeah?
I don't like this version.
The wrestlers like this version.
I know, but because it's more complicated to get a triple threat tag match, and I understand that. In that case, just only do singles matches ever, because they're the simplest. Don't do anything hard, all right?
I remember them doing the other what he's talking about, of course, is you have two people in the ring and a full team on the outside.
Yeah.
And the team on the outside can tag in the people that aren't on the team or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue that it makes sense.
I hate it.
But it is simpler to put together.
Yes.
I mean, we sat here on No Holds Barred a year ago when we were talking about the worst stipulation. I think we were playing Herd Mentality.
Sounds about right.
And Michael Oku, for his least favorite stipulation ever, is just at a three-way tag.
Yep.
With the rules that you like.
Yeah.
So I'm a sick Michael Oku on your ass.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take him.
The only time I remember on a big show them doing something like that was at I think it was Clash of Champions when Rusev Day almost won the tag titles.
That sounds about right.
It was like the show where the Rusev Day thing really kicked off, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, this thing is awesome! They should have called an audible and put the titles on them."
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Remember Rusev Day? That was fun.
I just like it.
Back to Collision, however, we had a very interesting match. One of the matches I have a lot more thoughts on than the others, actually. That being Hologram versus the Beast Mortis.
Yes.
So we saw the debut of Hologram last week, and he faced Gringo Loco. And I think what was sort of the common criticism about it was like, this was fine, but there's a lot of things that are fine in wrestling now. In order to really blow us away, you have to be great. And it was a fine debut. It was maybe 4 minutes. Nothing really to write home about. I was personally more excited to see Gringo Loco on AEW being an awesome base for this new guy. So I was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. And granted, this week in this match, way more over with the crowd.
Yep.
Which is strange because it was the same crowd.
Yep.
But they nailed the presentation of it this week. They had him do a longer match against someone who's very different, you know, from both himself and his previous competitor. And I love the Beast Mortis, but I'll get to that in a moment. And they did a lot more really cool, creative stuff. You know, we were getting the crucifix bomb, the crazy multiple rotation head scissors into a Hurricane Rana, a dive that sent Beast Mortis like 20 feet up the ramp. It was such a long suicide dive. So they did a lot of really good stuff here, and ultimately Hologram managed to get the pin. And this now I feel like is less of a harsh criticism than it was last week, because I do think the presentation on this clearly worked for the live audience. But I did come out of this going, God, the Beast Mortis is great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's mainly because he is. I watched him on TNA as Black Taurus like for years, just being a nothing guy who was unbelievably talented. I think I watched him wrestle Vikingo at one point, like 5 years ago or so. And at the time I was like, well, that's the best lucha match I've ever seen in my life. So clearly, and Vikingo's great, obviously, we've all seen. But I've been waiting for this guy to break through. And he's gotten a chance to wrestle more on AEW TV, which is probably the biggest exposure he's had to a North American audience for really his whole career. And he's not been picking up wins, and that's fine. His time will come. But the thing with this hologram guy is in the long term, I am worried about these are the kind of matches that you need to put him in. Because I think he will best shine in these lucha matches. However, I think we are 2 for 2 on him being the second best guy in these matches. And what's going to happen when you put him against Rey Fenix? Or Penta? Or whoever? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of constructive criticism. I don't know where they're going to go with this. And I, again, am happy to see this working. Worked with the live crowd. So I'm happy to take a step back and be like, listen, just trying to have some foresight and all that. But it's an interesting dynamic for them to be in currently with this new guy that they clearly want to push very hard.
Yeah. I don't think I came out as one-sided as you did. I think I came out of this being like, both of them are great. I was still very, very impressed with Beast Mortals, probably slightly more so than Hologram coming out of this, but it wasn't as like a, yeah, Hologram's fine, but Beast Mortals is great. It was more like, wow, these are both really good, which is a great position to come out of a match of. If you have 2 guys in there and both of them look better coming out, that's a big old thumbs up from me. Yeah. Really enjoyed the presentation of Hologram so far. I really hope the momentum continues and he keeps getting more and more over with this, especially if it's the same crowd. That is one of the benefits of running these multiple shows with the same crowd over and over again, is that you can tell like a little contained story like this one and rely on the crowd knowing what happened before to build on it, to then hopefully continue that momentum of that rise and push, which will then, in theory, translate across to multiple AEW audiences. Once they reach a certain level of overness, you can then take them on tours and stuff, and that's when they will be more over, hopefully.
In theory, communism works.
In theory. So yeah, I really enjoy what they've been doing with Hologram so far. I hope that continues, and I hope more comes for Beast Mortals as well, because it's really good.
I think in this case, what maybe had more of an impact on my feelings is that I think that Hologram, while very good, there are others of him. There's only one Beast Mortis.
Yeah.
Nobody else wrestles like this guy.
That's fair.
And so I think it's a little bit easier for him to stand out to me. But we will see. I hope good things come to both of them. In case I didn't mention, Hologram got the win with a crucifix pin. Then we had Thunder Rosa versus Maya World, and Thunder Rosa beat her with a camel clutch almost immediately.
It was very quick.
Short little match here.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Fine.
I'm interested to see where we're gonna go with things, because both Deonna Purrazzo and Taya Valkyrie had other things going on this night, and in Taya Valkyrie's case, multiple other things.
Yeah.
And none of them involved Thunder Rosa, and that comes after last week's Schmaz finish, where Taya Valkyrie gave Deonna a turnbuckle bar to knock out Thunder Rosa in their lumberjack match. So maybe that's done with. Who knows? Maybe we're going in a different direction.
I think there was a thing on Battle of the Belts where Thunder Rosa made the save. Like, Taya tried to do the turnbuckle thing again, and Thunder Rosa stopped it happening.
Yeah.
That's about it,
Yeah.
Like,
treading water a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I don't know where we go from there.
We'll see.
But
It's fine. Backstage, we had the Murder Hawk monster, Lance Archer, just beating the hell out of some dudes.
Look, I love Lance Archer when he's like this. That's really fun. Cutting a promo while just beating up hordes of people is really fun. Do that more.
Wave of NPCs.
Yeah, exactly. It's really funny. I find it, and this links into when it comes later with Lance Archer beating up a jobber later. I find it really disingenuous when they call Lance Archer the most dangerous man in AEW. Because if he's the most dangerous man in AEW, maybe book him like he is, because he
probably would have done anything in the last 4 years.
Right. If you keep booking him doing this, though, I could believe you. It just feels there's a narrative dissonance when you just say, like, but he's really strong, though. And you go, okay, yeah, he's dangerous. I haven't seen him be dangerous apart from this one time. Everything else he's done, he's just lost. So, I don't know. Anyway, I like this promo, though, in isolation. It's very fun. Do more of it.
Remember when he threw that guy through a roof?
Oh, that was a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Well, it was during the pandemic, so it wasn't. But for one segment, for 45 seconds worth of time, where he launched one guy through the ceiling, and I think that same guy he just picked up and threw in the garbage can.
Ugh. Wonderful.
What a time.
Yeah.
What a time. But Archer will be facing Will Ospreay on Wednesday, which is very exciting because Will Ospreay and Lance Archer had the best match of Lance Archer's career in Dallas 5 years ago during the G1. I remember it well. I'm looking forward to this one.
Mm-hmm.
We then had a trios match where the premier athletes took on the conglomeration of Tomohiro Ishii, Kyle O'Reilly, and Mark Briscoe. I don't have it here in my notes, but before this at some point, I believe.
It was between the Triple Threat tag and the Hologram Beast Mortals match. They had a promo, yeah.
There was a backstage promo that cannot be skipped. Because you had the conglomeration, and you had Orange Cassidy and Willow show up, and in the middle of all of this, Mark Briscoe hands the ROH belt to Kyle O'Reilly, and Kyle O'Reilly's being a goofball with it. And then Mark Briscoe picks up his baby. And this baby looks like he's like deer in the headlights.
Yep.
And I imagine that's just how life must always be with Mark Briscoe as your papa. But this was a brilliant piece of TV. It was another conglomeration promo with Mark Briscoe being a madman.
Yeah.
But there was a baby.
Yep. And the baby looked... And that was it. Great promo.
There was
10 out of 10. No
the
notes.
loudest "aww" from this Dallas crowd when this baby was introduced.
Yeah.
I saw somebody screenshot this and just said, like, The Hangover. I thought that was pretty accurate.
That's
and you
very
know
good.
what? I'd watch it.
Yeah.
With this group, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
So, that being said, we had a trios match here with the premier athletes and the conglomeration. Promo coming out, Smart Mark Sterling, you know, he said his lawyer stuff, you know, all the usual stuff. And then they had a little match here, and the conglomeration won.
Yep. There you go. That's a match.
All the people involved are good wrestlers.
Yep.
It was a fun little TV trios match. There's not much more to say about it than that.
Do you remember when we were reviewing Rampage, and I was like, it's Josh Woods. I really hope that he does more soon, because he's really good.
I do remember
And I watched
that.
this match, and I was like, it's Josh Woods. He's really good. I hope he gets more soon.
Mm-hmm.
That's like 3 years later.
Yeah, he's got a fun look.
Yeah.
You know?
I love the way he moves in a ring. He has a way about him. I really like Josh Woods' work. He's great.
Yeah. For the record, at least, Kyle O'Reilly put an armbar on Josh Woods and made him tap out.
Yes.
I'm interested. Well, this doesn't really matter within the context of this show, and neither does Ring of Honor. But my feelings of all of the video packages and things, Ring of Honor things that they put out on this with Death Before Dishonor having just happened, are that they showed a lot of clips of Roddy Strong and Mark Briscoe, which was fantastic. And you see clips of like Roddy hitting the J Driller and Mark kicking out at one. And I'm like, God damn it, I wish more people cared about Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
It is a chicken and the egg thing, you know, where I wish that they gave people more of a reason to care about Ring of Honor and therefore blah, 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 blah. Because between, like, this match, which is exactly the kind of wrestling that I got a Ring of Honor feeling of, like, 2013-14 out of that match. And that meant something to me as someone who liked Ring of Honor at the time, you know? That was like, ooh, the feeling lives. It's just only on 3 times a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Between that and like Athena's ROH Women's World Title reign, which is probably the best women's title reign on North American wrestling in I don't know how long, you know? Like, it's better than Toni Storm's run. It's better than Rhea Ripley's run. Like, as far as an actual run and the amount of quality pro wrestling development and storylines and fun character work and good matches put on, it's Athena and everyone else. And I wish we all watched it a little bit more.
Yep.
Because I would love to be sitting here giving you a review of ROH Death Before Dishonor and being like, wow, this great show. I can't believe where Ring of Honor is going to go next. But I know that not enough people care.
Yep.
I wish more people cared. That being said, moving on from there, backstage you had Chris Jericho cutting a promo on Minoru Suzuki, who broke his pinky, apparently. And this was actually a pretty fun little promo where Jericho's like, I'm not going to be able to wave, ow. And he called out Shibata and said that, Shibata, you don't have any allies anymore. We're going to take you out. It was a fine little promo.
Yeah.
Then the Murder Hawk monster reappeared, and he beat up a nameless fellow.
Genuinely a nameless person.
Just kicked him down the ramp, got into the ring, hit him with a couple of choke slams and then a blackout, and then was calling out Will Ospreay throughout, and it was a squash. Lance Archer is fun.
Yep.
I remember when he would run through the crowd at New Japan and scare children, spit water on people.
I was going to say, the spitting water on people I remember distinctly, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that.
We need that back.
That's gross.
You know? Give me a proper Suzuki-gun reunion in AEW. They've all gone their separate ways. Suzuki-gun doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We then had a fun little tag match as FTR took on the MXM Collection, the former Maximum Male Models of Mansoor and Mason Madden.
Yeah.
Interestingly, on commentary, they pointed out that Mason Madden is the first person to work for Tony Khan as a football player and an AEW wrestler, which I was like, that is a neat little fact.
Yeah.
Going in the third round of the NFL draft to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It went about as well as the Jaguar seasons as of late have. But still, this was a fun match. Yep. I don't know why Dax Harwood at some point stole Tomohiro Ishii's tights, but I was like, what is going on in my brain right now? Because he had the black and white weight belt hiked up really high, and then the black and white trunks that Ishii wears, and he's also bald. He has more of a neck.
Yeah.
But that's about the only difference. There might have been a little bit more color on Dax's trunks, but this was a good little match. They told the story of here are the cocky gimmick people, and here are the wrestlers, and the wrestlers got tired of the cocky gimmick people, and then beat them up and eventually hit the Shatter Machine and won.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this match. It ended, and I said, that was a fun match.
FTR win. Fun match, that.
Yeah.
That's my second note for this one, because my first note is I really, really like MXM. Yeah. I think they're so fun. I'm so glad that they took their release from WWE and they've made something out of it, and they reinvented kind of who they are, taking that Maximum Male Models thing but making it work for them and their characters and stuff. I think they're both great. They do fantastic work. It's the little things in this match, like obviously like the posing after they do a move to the camera, the Mansoor jumping into Mason Madden's arms to protect himself and all that stuff. Like it's just fun wrestling. But then they can turn it on and be like good wrestlers when they need to. So it's not just a gimmick. They also do really good in-ring work as well. So I think they're fantastic. And pairing them with FTR was a very good choice. Really fun match.
You know how I said that the opener with like Orange Cassidy and Johnny TV would be like perhaps better served as like a top Ring of Honor match from a few years ago with like just given a bit more time and emphasis, where that's a big match on that card as opposed to an opening match on this. This was a match where I was like, you could do this match in any building and people would love it.
Yep.
100%. This could be at Progress. This could be at PWG. This could be at Warrior Wrestling or Defy or wherever. Doesn't matter. This is the kind of wrestling where you just watch it and just smile.
Yep.
Have a good time. And
100%.
we need more of that.
Yep.
We then had the main event of AEW Collision.
There was a promo from the Acclaimed before.
Oh, yes, of course. Of course. A pretty fired up promo.
Yeah.
All things considered. As they talked about nobody needs to underestimate the Acclaimed. Nobody ever needs to question the Acclaimed. When we go out there and we deliver every single week for this company that we love. We go out there, we bleed for this company that we love. And in saying that, where were you, FTR? Why weren't you in this cage match? You don't actually love this company. So we're going to go. We've just beaten the Elite again. We're going to go. We're going to take those titles. And then FTR, we'll see. Said we got a nut up or shut up. And you need to shut the F up. Ooh.
That was a pretty good promo.
It was a good promo.
Yeah.
I
like the fired up side of them. I love when they're not a one-note joke.
Yeah.
I like when characters have more to them than that. And good.
That's it. If we see this a little bit more often, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
there are parts of how we've set up the TV and everything going into All In where I'm still maybe like we are a month from this big show and I don't know what a number of the matches are. And not in a like, ooh, intriguing. Where is it going to, as I'm like, I'm just confused because there feels like there are puzzle pieces that don't fit together. Like Pac having this international title shot and everything else that's been going on with the international or American championship in the meantime. It feels like this is an odd duck that's not going to fit into this larger puzzle. And I'm sure they'll figure out a way to make it work, but I don't know. Between that and the tag titles, where the Acclaimed having this tag title shot against the Young Bucks for like a month and a half, and also FTR wanting the tag titles, all of these things kind of feel disconnected from one another. And this week there was a bit more connection now with this promo being done. But I don't know what the match is. You know?
Yeah.
Are we going to get a 3-way tag? Just like, it's all right, I suppose.
As long as it's a triple threat version and not the two people being legal.
Shush. We will see, though, because the main event was the aforementioned Pac versus Lio Rush. And this was a very fun, fast-paced match. I forget exactly how Nigel McGuinness put it in the early goings of this match, but he said, like, if Lio Rush is lightning quick, then Pac is abrupt. And I was like, that's a very good way of putting it. And Tony Schiavone even said, like, that's very well said. Because it is. It's Pac being this super dynamic guy where the foot speed, first step speed is like, 0 to 100. And then the same thing with stopping. You can stop and turn on a dime and everything is just very crisp and fast. It's one of the things that I love the most about Pac and that style of wrestling in general. The dynamic, fast, explosive style is probably my favorite. And this match had a lot of it because obviously these guys are very fast flyers. And that's a good, fun style of wrestling. The people didn't seem to be terribly into Lio Rush at first, but by the end there were enough people chanting for him, so we had a good back and forth kind of reaction in this double babyface match. And it was really fun. Pac folded up Lio Rush with a German suplex, looked crazy. Eventually, it was just a big lariat and then locking in the brutalizer that did it. And we got end of the match, submission, more momentum for Pac. I don't know how it fits into anything.
Me neither.
But we will hopefully see it at some point.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
I think I would be more confident in it if last year we didn't just have the Young Bucks win a tag title shot and that just being like, whoa, what do we do next?
Yeah. Yep, 100%. I wouldn't be surprised if they do Pac at All In.
Yeah.
Like,
he's English.
Yeah. That would be cool. I'd like to see Pac MJF, I guess.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess you could do a 3-way.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go.
When we were setting this show up in my mind, I was like, you know what? Even if you don't want to have Will be world champion and all that line of thinking, you could do Will Ospreay and Pac for this title, and that would just be fantastic. I've seen that match. They did that in Rev Pro some years ago, like when AEW was starting up, I want to say, and they went to a draw because Pac wasn't losing while he was Dragon Gate champion, which is a funny time in all of our lives.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that match in front of a Wembley crowd, imagine, it'd be crazy. And then they started going in a different direction. I was like, okay, maybe we're not going to do that match. You're going to do Will Ospreay and MJF or something else. And then Pac just comes back in and is like, no, but actually you are doing it. And now the pieces, again, don't feel like they fit. We'll see.
Yep.
We'll see. I would do Ospreay and Pac probably, but the storyline would suggest that MJF and Will Ospreay is the direction. Again, maybe they do a 3-way.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
That being said, that brings our Collision review to a close, and we give the old hot tag over to SmackDown.
Indeed, which began with recap from last week. Obviously, that's how they start every show. And we also got confirmation. It was backstage with Nick Aldis in the Bloodline, where it got confirmation that Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga will be representing the Bloodline in the Tag Team Gauntlet #1 Contenders match later because Tonga Loa's got an eye injury.
He sure does. See, we talked about it last week where he got his eye raked and he was really selling it. And it was like, ooh, good selling of an eye rake. And then he comes in the next week, he's got an eye patch and a bandage. And it's like, wow, they're really selling an eye rake. And it turns out it was for a reason.
Yeah. I think that Tonga Loa wearing an eye patch is the most interesting thing he's done in WWE so far.
You know who he looks like? He looks like the one bad guy in 21 Jump Street.
Yes.
Who also wore an eye patch.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, we got confirmation of that lineup for later on for the tag team gauntlet match. We then had LA Knight coming out. I really like him cutting a promo on his way to the ring. I thought that's really, really good. A great use of LA Knight's screen time to have him do a promo plus match and combining them in this way was really, really good. It's like a one-take shot of going back and then through the entrance to make his entrance, which was awesome. It was LA Knight versus Santos Escobar. A fun little match. Decent in-ring work from these guys. Logan Paul came in to try and do a distraction. Failed with it. He had, the brass knucks and everything. Failed the distraction. LA Knight got the win, but then there was an immediate post-match beatdown from Logan Paul's. LA Knight looked like he was going to get the better of Paul, but then Santos Escobar jumped LA Knight again, and they both beat up Knight together, and Logan Paul stood tall with a frog splash. It was all solid stuff.
Pretty by the numbers.
I
wasn't blown away by the match, but it was fine.
Yep.
It's another one of those matches where like the SmackDown mid-card is actually like fairly strong, with guys like LA Knight, Andrade, Santos, and Carmelo and things like that. And this definitely does feel like I was more into the idea of this little weird U.S. title kind of three-way feud going on when it was like, okay, well, here's LA Knight's first challenger afterwards. But now he's just beat him.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't see the purpose of this as much anymore. And if it was just to give him something to do en route to that, that's fine, but I just feel it's a little reductive for what Santos Escobar could have been doing, positioning him as a strong first challenger after who knows, but I would imagine a title win.
One would think.
Fantasy booking this U.S. title win for LA Knight for a year and a half.
Yep.
Hope it comes.
Yep, me too. We had Naomi backstage. She said that she's going to make Blair Davenport feel and respect the glow, whatever that means. Bianca and Jade Cargill came in and they were talking together, and then they said, we need to go out to the ring to call out the other people.
I know it wasn't positioned this way, and it doesn't matter, but I thought this was so rude. Just interrupt your friend's interview and be like, hey, camera, you come with us now.
See you later. Bye-bye.
I hope you were done with that thought of yours, because it's done now.
Yep.
We have decided as such.
Logan Paul also cut a promo backstage saying that there's going to be a surprise at SummerSlam, whatever that may be.
Whichever streamer he's friends with at the moment will be there.
One would think. Yeah. Can't wait. We then had what I think is the most nothing segment I've ever seen, because Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair came out to the ring separately.
You can tell it's a taped show. We got a pad for content a little bit.
Yeah, right. They said, "Where's the Unholy Union? Where are they? Are they going to come out?" Oh, here they come. Music hits. They come out attacking from behind. Cargill and Belair stood tall. That's the whole thing.
I think you talking about it lasted longer than this segment. Every time the Unholy Union's not on TV, people should ask, where's the Unholy Union?
This didn't achieve anything. This is an issue with SmackDown as a whole, is that we ended this exactly where we started. There was no development.
That is the complaint that I have levied against Collision a lot of the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Where Collision, you start and you end, and things are in the same place. You just watch some fun wrestling. I know it's not particularly popular to say that Fed bad at the moment, and I do think that is too strong of a term at the moment, at least. But SmackDown is not a good wrestling show.
It's weirdly inferior to Raw. I don't know why they can't put on 2 good shows a week.
There's only one Gunther.
Just true. Yeah.
Listen, the SmackDown was given a death sentence at last year's draft when they took Gunther and put him on Raw, and they gave Austin Theory back.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, though, even when Gunther has been around the last, month, Raw's still been good.
Mm-hmm.
They still got a load of stuff happening. The thing with Raw, I think, is that it feels like they care about it. And they're like, what is everybody's character motivations for this stuff?
Yeah.
How can we further this story? How do we further this character in this interaction with this thing? And SmackDown is like, we're going to have some segments.
Yeah. It's tough.
It's a weird amount of care gone into both of these.
Yeah. Especially when you consider it's whatever show has the most recent TV deal. You know?
Right, yeah.
Let's put Roman Reigns. Let's put this person. Let's put all the stars on SmackDown in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I guarantee that when we do this podcast in 3 weeks or a month or whenever it is, and Roman Reigns is returned, that more care will have been put into SmackDown.
Yeah.
I believe this with my whole chest. However, they don't care about SmackDown at the moment, and make me not care about SmackDown. You've got the main event segments every so often. You know, the last few weeks, they've taken out Kevin Owens. They've taken out Randy Orton. They've taken out whatever. So you have the progression of what is likely to be the SummerSlam main event. However, what is going on the rest of this show? Because you had U.S. champ Logan Paul and I know this is what we said last week, but he's been champ for 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think this title reign has been very good at all.
Nope.
At the very least, at the start of things, when it was, the Kevin Owens match into WrestleMania, that he was wrestling often enough and around often enough to make it palpable, palatable. Whether it's the Rumble match and then he's in the Chamber and then he's at WrestleMania, that's a good enough thing. But you kind of need to end the celebrity title reign before you get tired of it.
Yep.
And I'm way past that point with this because, again, like we said last week, you do have a lot of the mid-card on SmackDown just kind of circling each other. And it leads to, for long periods of time, between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, funny enough how this keeps happening every year, where they just decide, we'll wait till after SummerSlam for things to get better. I don't understand what SmackDown has been meant to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bayley's barely been focused on since Backlash.
Mm-hmm.
That's been disappointing. I have been on record saying that I think the Nia Jax match should be the direction for SummerSlam. And they've done a good enough job of doing that, but Bayley doesn't do a lot in a lot of these shows. She might get beat up. She might destroy a briefcase and all that. But she's not the top women's world champion that she was in the first month of her reign, where she was having an amazing match on pay-per-view and etc. And then you've got just stuff like this, which is these godforsaken women's tag titles, which were taken off of the only duo that anybody cared anything about for the sake of a hometown pop. And I get it. That was an emotional week for the people involved, and I'm glad that they got their moment. But also, maybe we follow that up with anything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anything.
I have been saying for a very long time that they shouldn't have the women's tag belts anymore. Get rid of it and have a women's mid-card belt.
Sure.
It would just be better. Because then it forces these weird tag teams that they don't care about, they don't do anything with. A women's mid-card belt is so much better. It gives more people stuff to actually fight for and not have to be forced into a random tag team with people, which they do a lot. Yeah. Don't like this. If you'd have told me this segment was from 2021, I'd have believed you. Aside from the people involved, obviously. Obviously, if you saw Jade Cargill in WWE, it would have been a bit weird. But this style of segment, I'd have been like, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's just nothing.
This was a -1 on SmackDown for this week, and I get it that it's like a taped show, and therefore less is going to happen, but that doesn't excuse the last 3 months or so where SmackDown has been skippable most weeks. What storyline things have happened on SmackDown other than what's happened with the Bloodline?
Yeah. That's the only thing, really.
It's the only thing on SmackDown.
Hey, it's 2021 SmackDown again.
You know what I mean?
where the only thing that happens is the bloodline. Street Profits and B-Fab were backstage with Terrence Crawford. Cool. Tiffany Stratton was backstage with her briefcase all taped up because he got injured last week.
How many more weeks until we have a pink briefcase?
Well, Nia said she's going to get her a new one on this.
That's what I'm saying.
So one would hope this week coming.
This week coming? I don't know.
Post SummerSlam, maybe.
I'm taking the over-under bets on when this briefcase is going to show up.
Then we had a tag team gauntlet match for the number one contendership for the tag team titles, which started off with Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews versus Legado del Fantasma. Corbin won with the End of Days. This was fine. I still can't get over seeing Baron Corbin as a babyface. It just doesn't compute in my brain. That the presentation is fine. The in-ring work he's doing is fine. He's good babyface work and all that stuff. My brain just doesn't. It can't envision it. Doesn't compute at all. Weird. Corbin and Crews then faced the Street Profits, and the Profits won, and that began kind of the through line of the gauntlet match, because basically how all gauntlet matches work if you have one team go the distance. And in this case, it was the Street Profits that was designated to be that team. They then beat Pretty Deadly after that, and the OC after that with a roll-up. And at this point, they were like pretty tired and beat up at this point, which is when the final team, the Bloodline, came out, and Jacob Fatu won basically single-handedly towards the end, because he's really good.
He sure is, isn't
I
he?
thought this was a really fun, like, final few minutes of this one. Like, that last, like, 5-minute stretch of this match was really fun, like, very fast-paced. Lots of, like, really fun spots. Montez Ford doing his huge dive over the corner onto everybody. Jacob Fatu being rad. That pop-up Samoan drop is always so good. It's him jumping afterwards. He catches him, and then he jumps, like, almost backwards onto his head to deliver a Samoan drop. He's great, and delivered a huge moonsault as well afterwards. I don't know if we needed the rest of the gauntlet. I think as a gauntlet match, not great in terms of the caliber of gauntlet matches that there have been. I don't know if we needed all of this. I don't think it really accomplished a lot in terms of, like, well, the gauntlet can be used to tell these stories of, we've seen how gauntlet matches can make very compelling stories in the past, and this didn't. I don't think. This kind of was just kind of inevitable. When you saw that Jacob Fatu was going to be representing the Bloodline, you were like, okay, well, they're winning. So you're just kind of waiting for the Bloodline to come out and for them to win. I feel like that's where we saw this whole thing going, and it kind of robbed the investment of what could have been in this, I like that the Bloodline won. I'm interested in it. I think there should be the tag title match at SummerSlam, not on SmackDown next week, but I like that they won. I want them to hold the gold, so cool.
I had a few thoughts about this.
Yeah.
One of which, on a taped show like this, and I know that this is only going to reinforce people's biases against me and what I like.
Yeah.
I would have had this match be like half the show.
Yeah.
Have it go an hour.
Yeah.
And I know some people are going to be like, oh, AEW fan likes his MJF Will Ospreay hour-long matches or whatever. But every time WWE does this, everyone throws their popcorn at the wall. Whether it's Seth Rollins wrestling for like an hour and 5 minutes on Raw that one time in a gauntlet match, when Cena and Michaels did the hour match on Raw, every time there's a ludicrously long match on Raw or SmackDown, everyone loves it. It's not just a one-company thing. It's impressive because you can tell us a much easier story of exhaustion when the Street Profits have been wrestling for 45 minutes as opposed to 15. You know what I mean? Because it's the problem with gauntlet matches is if they are shorter than 45 minutes or whatever, then you just get like a bunch of 4 or 5 minute matches. And I don't think that really does much for anybody.
Yep.
So that's point one. Make this match longer, because what else was on this show? There was nothing else of note on this show that needed to take up time. Have Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill come out together. You'll shave a few minutes off. That's point one.
For a whole match in there.
Point two, my other -1 of SmackDown is the OC come out, go to commercial.
Yep.
That's not how this works. Oh, the team's coming back on the field. We're here for the third quarter, and we'll see you later. We'll go to commercial. Come back. We're 2 minutes into the third quarter. That's not how this works. And I know it's wrestling, but that's not how it works. Don't do that. The final point that I want to make about all this kind of goes back to what you were saying with the bloodline and, you know, the foregone conclusion of who was going to win this match. What if you started this show similarly to how we did, saying that Tangaloa can't compete due to his eye and everything, and they're like, nah, angry. And then the Street Profits have this phenomenal run, and they beat 3 teams, and it looks like they've won. And then the Bloodline music hits, and Tama Tonga comes out, and then Jacob Fatu comes out with them, and they're like, oh no.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
That way you still got the suspense and drama that the Street Profits are going to win this little run here. They're going to get the tag title shot. And then you have the big drop, the pit of your stomach moment where, oh no, they're actually completely screwed.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have done a lot more for the drama and suspense of this match. That being said, Jacob Fatu is like the most can't-miss signing that WWE has had, and I do not know how long. My God. That pop-up Samoan drop into a moonsault. That moonsault, oh, it gave me flashes of a future of WrestleManias and everything. This man is amazing.
Yep.
And I can't wait to see him succeed in WWE because good matches are on the horizon.
Yep. The reports coming out saying that they didn't want to bring in Jacob Fatu because he would outshine Solo Sikoa. They were right.
Oh no!
Yeah, right. I think I brought this up on a show. It might have been off camera on a 3 count or something. But if you were worried about Jacob Fatu outshining Solo Sikoa, why are you booking him to look amazing all the time?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the amazing guy's doing amazing spots and everyone loves him more than Solo. How did this happen? Who knows?
It's such a non-problem.
Right? It's such a non-problem.
It's only a problem because you've decided that this is the story you're doing and you're inflexible.
Yes.
Oh no, we can't sign this 9 out of 10 performer because he's going to overshine this 6 out of 10 performer that we are dead set being the main event of SummerSlam. Maybe you don't do that then. I get this is the story you want to tell, but for God's sake, when there's that big of a discrepancy that you're so worried about it, maybe that's a sign of something, you know?
Yeah. DIY's tag title run is going to be a short one.
Yep.
Because they're doing the tag title match next week or this coming week on SmackDown, rather than at SummerSlam itself.
Just like in NXT.
Yeah.
Short tag title reign, that.
Yeah, man. We then had A-Town Down Under. They came out and wanted Terrence Crawford to come out because it cost him a match. Grayson Waller was like, hey, man, if you take one more step, I'm going to have my buddy Austin Theory knock you out. And then he took one more step and Theory was like, what? I don't want to. And then he got knocked out.
Remember what you said about the nothing happening segment?
Yeah.
I get it. They got to promote a boxing match or some such nonsense.
Yeah.
But I felt like you did that last week.
Yeah.
Maybe they got paid twice to do it.
Maybe.
But
or maybe he was just there because it was a taped show.
Yeah.
Like, well, we can use him again.
Yeah.
They also said, I think 3 times in the space of about 30 seconds that he's the number 1 pound-for-pound boxer in the world. I get it. I understand. Thank you. Andrade backstage was saying that, they were saying, you won your match against Carmelo Hayes. What's next? And he was like, maybe the US title, is kind of on the horizon. And then Carmelo came back in and was just like, hey, just because you beat me once, that doesn't mean anything. So then they're going to have one more match. Okay.
Vince McMahon booked show.
If you told me this was 2021, I believe you. That's what I'm saying. Crazy. We then had Michin and Bayley versus Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax in a tag match, which was the main event of the show. Michin got attacked before the bell. This is not important. This is such a minor thing that I think it only annoyed me. So bear that in mind. This is not a genuine criticism of the show. If Michin's coming out, one would think that Bayley would be coming out next.
I hadn't even thought of this, but it's very true.
So Bayley would be there, ready to come on out next. She would be like in gorilla position, waiting to come on out for her entrance. So when Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax come out of gorilla to attack Michin, they'd have gone past Bayley.
Yeah.
She would then know that just come out with them and stop the attack. Doesn't matter.
There is
it doesn't matter.
You're 100. It does matter.
We've decreed now. This matters.
This is why you have Bayley go out first.
Right.
and then have Michin get attacked from behind.
Because then Bayley's in the ring, Michin's on the ramp far away, and she can't stop the attack. That's whatever. Again, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
But this match started as a handicap match because Michin was injured on the outside. I really enjoyed that Michin just got back onto the turnbuckle. Nia Jax just picked her up, did a Samoan drop on the outside. I was like, no, not yet. Thank you very much. Stay out there. And it was nice. Michin got her way back into the match, had this big shine spot, went on this little run. It told a very simple, very effective story. The choreographers and commentary were like, where is Michin getting this from and all that stuff. She had some really good selling. Anytime she did a move, she was grabbing her back because that had been messed up from it. It was really solid stuff. Bayley then got hit with the Money in the Bank briefcase behind the referee's back, though. Nia Jax hit the Annihilator on it, and Nia Jax pinned Bayley to win this match, which I think is good. I wish Bayley got more stuff, but I think in isolation, this works for telling the story for SummerSlam and how Tiffany Stratton is this kind of wild card on the outside. Could she cash in? Is she going to help Nia? Because they're a duo, but also Tiffany could cash in on Nia and is teased that as well. So it's all this a big kind of mishmash of stuff. And I thought this was solid. I enjoyed this match a lot. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I think it told a very simple but effective story. I think that the peripheries of the Women's World title on SmackDown, in terms of the challenger and Tiffany Stratton as Miss Money in the Bank, I think that's all been handled very well. I just at this point would have liked if the last few months of Bayley would have been handled a little bit stronger. But everything else is fine. You've got her ally over here, and then you've got the opposition of Nia Jax, who's keeping Tiffany close to be got my eye on you.
Yep.
Better the enemy I know than,
Yep.
So I like how all of that feels very logical and natural. I like that. I just wish Bayley would get to do a little bit more.
The show ended with a little promo from Solo Sikoa, a pre-recorded backstage thing, saying that he'll see Cody next week. My closing notes that I wrote here was, this is such a nothing episode. It's not anger-inducing, it's not terrible, it's not offensive, it's just nothing, which is arguably worse because they're not trying.
Yeah.
If you're making me angry, it's probably because you tried something and it was bad. If you're making me feel nothing, that means you're not trying. Yeah. Come on.
I have seen, quote him a lot because he's a brilliant mind. Ibu of Wrestle Purists on Twitter a while back said about Raw and SmackDown and SummerSlam that the SummerSlam card, as it was laid out 2 months ago, did not enthuse him, and I certainly agreed. With Priest and Gunther over here, and Cody and Solo over here, and etc. The other moving pieces, and what they've done on Raw is go okay, might not have been what you wanted, but these matches are going to be great.
Yeah.
Gunther and Priest is going to be a great match.
We're going to make you care.
We're going to make you care. People really care about the Rhea and Liv stuff. People really care about Drew and Punk. And granted, they didn't need as much help with that one because it's been the story of the year on Raw. All that. And then over on SmackDown, you've got the same problems, and we do not care.
Yeah.
And if you are super psyched to see Cody and Solo have a match at SummerSlam, more power to you. I could not care less, with the exception of probably the last 30 seconds to the end of the show when it is most likely that Roman Reigns will return.
I'm excited for that.
That bit is going to rule. The rest of it, I do not care about this match. And also not really much else on the SmackDown side of SummerSlam.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to Logan Paul losing.
Sure.
I think that would be cool. To have LA Knight get crowned as the US champ, partially because that means the US title reign is over, and the US title will actually be on SmackDown. They could do some interesting stuff with it. Like you said, a lot of people have been circling the US title. Maybe they can do some stories with it now.
Yeah.
That's about it,
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily looking forward to the match. I'm just looking forward to the results of SmackDown, I want to see that Roman return to have the result. I want to see Logan lose to see what they're going to do afterwards. I don't care about the peak of this. I care about what comes after, Which, I don't think it's the same problem on Raw. I think they've done a very good job on Raw, and they have not done the same on SmackDown, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But, yeah. that's SmackDown for you.
That pretty much covers it.
Yeah.
You know, I am very much hopeful that after SummerSlam, with the potential return of Roman Reigns, that things will turn around a little bit. It will inject some life back into this show. But until then, boy, I'm hoping for better.
Yeah.
We've only got one more week of TV before this big pay-per-view of the summer. And I hope it's a good one.
Yeah.
Because we need a real boost going into this show.
Well, we got 2 tag title matches on SmackDown. The women's tag and the men's tag is both on SmackDown this coming week. So hopefully they get a bit of time, bit of shine to it. They could be a big event. That would be cool. And some big angles. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Cody and Solo have a face-to-face. Maybe Roman comes back on SmackDown. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe The Rock comes back.
Yeah, why not?
Who knows? We will see then. But until then, make sure that you like this video if you haven't already. Let us know all of your thoughts about SmackDown Collision, Battle of the Belts, SummerSlam, everything in between, down in the comments below. Make sure you check out all of the other family of channels we've got going on here. Lots of fun stuff coming out, including Survival Series on Cutscene with every Marvel Studios movie just in time for Deadpool and Wolverine. So make sure you check out Cutscene as well as all of the new videos coming out over there. We got new videos coming out every week on Control Freaks, on the video game side of things, as well as NRB. Parts Fun Known's got new stuff. There's a new worst match ever over on Parts Fun Known where we watch Mecha Mummy versus Ken the Box from Chikara, which is mad, and one of my favorite videos I've gotten to do here because, my God, what a nightmare it was, and everything in between. So make sure, of course, that you are subscribed to all of the necessary channels if you aren't already.
We also are going to be doing a watch party for SummerSlam. We're going to be doing live reactions. I assume there will be a link in the description for tickets for that. Go get them. We're going to be going with Hooked on Wrestling. We're going to be there.
Yeah.
For that. Come watch it with us.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Maybe the That Championship will change hands.
Maybe.
Exciting. You might see it. The belt. Next week here on the podcast. Who knows? Until then, make sure, of course, that you've done all the things I've already said. I've been Tempest. That's been Pete. We're LIW, sometimes, for life, and we'll see you next week.